Alright, y'all. So I'm coming to you guys from my bedroom. I'm sitting on my bed. The last couple of days I've spent a lot of time in this bed. I I am like really tired. I feel like I don't know, like I feel a little depressed. I feel emotionally fatigued is a term you could use. Um, Sometimes, well, a lot of the times I like to scroll through social media kind of to find things that cheer me up, but right now my social media is just flooded with things that are not cheering me up. And that's the reality of right now what it means to be a person of color. Most of my friends on social media are people of color. And a lot of people are feeling very much like really frustrated, um, feeling angry, feeling confused, feeling just like really emotional. I can't even describe all the words that people are feeling. I know that personally, like I said, I'm feeling emotionally fatigued. There are so many thoughts that have came through my head over the last like week or so. Um, to be honest, when the video started circulating on Memorial Day weekend, I saw the video. Well, I didn't watch the video. I saw like the image from the still from the video, the what I'm talking um, about George Floyd's murder, and this is just like really hard to even film this, to be honest. And I saw that video, and I literally thought to myself, "Here we go again." I didn't think at all that just the next following weekend there would be protests in every major city in the United States, plus major cities across the world. I didn't think that there would be fires, there would be store break-ins, there would be. I just didn't. My mind didn't even think that that was going to happen because I've seen so many of these still images, videos, stories, articles over the past few years where it happens and then nothing really happens. So to see protest again, kind of like the age of, or kind of like the times when Mike Brown was murdered by Andrew Zimmerman, that was, that's what this brought back to me as I'm seeing it happening now. And, I don't understand why so many things had to happen in between that huge uprising and this uprising that is going on right now, for us to uprise again, or for the people to uprise again. And I definitely will say the narrative on my social media feed right now is a lot different than what it was back then. But that's also because around the time of the Mike Brown murder, I was essentially a different person. I had a different set of people around me. Towards the end of my college career, I really distanced myself from non-people of color, especially white people. Then I was also feeling this emotional fatigue that I'm feeling now again. And yeah, it's really hard to have all of this going on. This is really just a big rambling, to be honest, because I didn't even know what to say. I don't have any organized thoughts. I just wanted to say something. I wanted to say how I feel. Yes, I'm in an interracial relationship right now, and it's really hard to be in an interracial relationship right now because I am angry, and because I'm angry, and because like everything that is going on, it's just really hard. It's hard that white people have to be told to check on black people when they are dying, when they are community is dying. That's really hard. And it's hard to have to feel like you have to remind your partner to be cognizant of what's going on. There's just so many complicated factors to all of it. And it's just really hard as a person of color to even just, you feel guilty, you feel like you're not doing anything to help the cause. That's how I feel right now. I feel guilt that I am not there protesting in Detroit. Sometimes I feel guilt that I'm not in a relationship with a person of color because people of color need other people of color's support right now. Black people need other black people's support right now. I feel that because of that, I don't want to give support right now. I just don't want to support white people right now, and that's really hard. It's also really hard to know, like, that your job and the university, just like the greater powers that being, like when it comes to large organizations, have not said anything, have not mentioned anything about what is going on right now. Obviously, you can't expect people to take a political stance, and I understand that you can't expect everyone to want to take a political stance. However, I still have the right to feel weird about that. I have the right to feel weird that, like, the only, like, white person in my circle who has checked on me about all of this is my boss. The only one. And part of that is because, like I said, I don't have white people in my circle like that. So, that can be a big part of it. But the other part of it is, like, it's really hard that the first and only person who's actually reached out to me without me having to prompt the conversation to check on me is my boss. And does that hurt my feelings? Yes, it does. And I just feel like, it's just really hard to be in this space right now. And I'm tired. And it's a Sunday, and I work tomorrow. It's going to be hard to sit through, weekly meetings, staff meetings, whatever may come, and have to, like, just even be present in those meetings. But that's, like, what life feels like right now. This is really becoming like a journal, a babbling journal. All this to say that it's really hard for me and people of color right now, as the biggest statement. It's really hard for us to process when everything that's going on in the media, everybody is talking about us. Like, I want to be really clear that the murder of George Floyd is not the sole reason why people are literally on the streets protesting and why cities are being, why cities are being destroyed. I don't even want to say cities are being destroyed. Why windows are being broken. Like, while goods are being taken away from places. Like, it's really frustrating even talking about it. But I think it's important that the murder of George Floyd is not the reason why all this is going on. It's not the only reason. The reason that these things are going on is because I think people are just fed up. Like I said, we see over and over and over and over and over again. Like, you just see it over and over and over again. Footage of people who look like you being murdered literally in the streets by police officers, by white people. And how do you not internalize that? How does people of color not internalize that? There's just no way to not internalize that. It's just there's just no way that we cannot be affected by that. It does not have to be my brother or my cousin or my uncle or my dad for me to be affected by it. It does not have to be my sister or my mom or my aunt or my cousin for me to be affected by it. And I don't understand how that's really hard for people to understand. There's no excuse why white people can't understand this. I just feel like there's no excuse for white people not to understand that a person can be affected by years and years of constant video proof of aggression towards black people and living through constant aggression towards black people. Whether it's overt aggression or microaggressions. I feel that in this state, hundreds, if not even thousands, of white men and women walked into the Capitol building with assault rifles, yelled in police officers' faces, with no mask on, and that was normalized. We were told to see that as normal. As many people who outcried and said, like, well, if these were black people holding assault rifles, it wouldn't happen the same. And people literally combating that by saying, no, it wouldn't, this is not a white or black issue. However, literally weeks later, we have people with no guns, just signs, and police officers came directly out with riot gear. Like, how does that look? How does that look? How does that look? I don't want to hear anything, any arguments about people not holding the assault rifles in a way that they were carrying it over them, and that's why it's not offensive. There are literally pictures of these people holding the rifles with their fingers on the triggers. They're not just carrying these assault rifles or wrapped around their chests into the state building. There are pictures of them holding them up like this in the air with their fingers on the triggers. I don't care if there is a clip in there or not. We need change. When that is acceptable, but black people cannot gather in a space to express their discontent with other black people being killed, that's unacceptable. I think that if anything, if this doesn't provoke change, physical change in the sense that these things are going to stop, then what it's going to provoke is a mental change for all of us. I feel like everything that we are going through with the coronavirus, and then in addition now, the protests that are going on, is provoking a mental change for people. Right now, I really don't care about a job. And that's not even to be funny. I really don't care about a job at all right now. I don't care. I feel like I don't care about a career. What I care about is feeling like my commute to and from wherever a job may be for me, I'm not terrified that I'm going to get pulled over and possibly killed by a police officer. That's how I feel. I got pulled over by a police officer for the first time in Ann Arbor, Michigan, a couple years ago. But I guess it wasn't even a couple years ago, it was about a year ago. And I immediately, like, this is what I mean about the internalized trauma of watching police brutality towards black people over and over and over again. Being pulled over by a white police officer for the first time ever in my life, I immediately got so mad. In that moment, I didn't give a fuck, not one fuck, about putting my hands on the dashboard, about turning my music down, about trying to protect my life. I was immediately angry. I mean, one of the reasons I'm immediately angry is because I knew that I was being wrongfully pulled over. But the other reason why I was immediately angry was because I was like, I literally have to have an interaction with a police officer right now at 8-something a.m. in the morning on my way to work. And just the thought of having an interaction with a white male police officer immediately pissed me off. And, you know, I think that with all that is going on, police officers need to be doing double time to try to change their ways and change the ways that they are seen. They need to be working double and triple time to change the way that they are seen. Easily, I was so pissed off when I got pulled over by the police officer, and easily, if the police officer came up to my car and would have just showed any sense of thinking of me as a human being, or any sense of like a hint of a okay tone in his voice, that could have changed my whole perspective in that moment. However, not to my surprise, police officer couldn't even look me in the eye. He couldn't even stand in my window. He couldn't even speak to me in complete sentences. He was giving commands. Like, I don't have to show glee and joy and respect and obedience to someone or something that represents the death of my people. And that's how I feel about the protests going on right now. I feel like none of those people have a responsibility to be decent, kind, and respectful to those police officers. Fuck those police officers. Like, that's what I have to say about that. Because that's how they treat us. Like, fuck us. Like, we're not humans. I just want to wrap this up by saying that I keep in my thoughts all those people who have died by either police brutality, by an act of a hate crime or racist act, people who sit in jail wrongfully, people who are suffering currently because of the way that the system has contributed to the countless deaths of black people by coronavirus. I'm keeping all those people in my thoughts because right now my people need me, and that's all I have the capacity for, is being there for people of color right now. I think that if you are a non-person of color and you want to help out, I think that is great. I think that don't expect a pat on the back by black people right now, because at this point, it's our responsibility to pat people on the back for doing what they're supposed to do. anyway in the first place. I think that the best thing that can be done right now is just let the black people have their space and take their space and have their voices and let their voices take up space. I don't know what the end of this looks like. I don't know what the through line looks like. I don't know what next week looks like for this country. And all I can do is just really focus on the now and focus on my own mental health. And I just want to say that, like, you can sign petitions, you can call the police office, you can call the governor, you can do whatever. However, the change that's really going to happen for black people, is when we finally see true and honest reparations for everything that we have went through, everything that our grandfathers' grandfathers went through, everything that our ancestors went through, everything that people of color as a whole went through on this country and on this planet. That's what the through line that I would like to see is true and honest reparations for the things that we have went through. Reparations in form of money, reparations in form of an apology, reparations in form of black people being able to have ownership, land, community, freedom, true freedom, here and all over the world. Free black people, Black Lives Matter, which is just an obvious statement. So that's all I have to say today. If you made it through, thank you for listening. Like I said, none of these are coordinated or organized thoughts. I just kind of wanted to talk just about all my thoughts right now. And let you guys know that, for anybody who cares, I'm doing okay. I have a house. I have a job right now. I do not have coronavirus right now. I'm doing okay. However, mentally, I'm not so okay. And I want to do better. I want to feel better. But I also understand that these are emotions that I'm just going to have to deal through and process through into whatever happens and whatever change comes. So thank you for listening, and I hope you guys are having a better day or week than I am. Peace.